And the award for best current snooker player goes to... Did you think it was going to be that easy? This isn't Ronnie making a 147, but there is a new cat sitting on top of the pigeons. Let's get into the episode. Welcome to Pocket Watch, your bi-weekly snooker catch-up. Today we have a full roundup of the Players' Championship, an updated Pocket Watch Power Rankings, a look forward to the Welsh Open, and our fan section talking balls. So let's stop dillying and start dallying. I never thought I'd say it, but I had a great time in Telford. Here's some of my highlights and some of the bits I didn't share during the week. I've predicted 3 out of the 4 quarterfinals at this year's Players' Championship correctly so far. If Mark Selby goes on to win tonight and make it 4 out of 4, I will, live at the venue, film myself at the end of the match, calling him the GOAT, in a Brummie accent. And now I can't decide if I want my prediction to be correct or not. So earlier today I said that if Mark Selby were to win, I would call him the GOAT in a Brummie accent. Well, he didn't win, and now I've got nothing. There's a lot of people at the venue today saying that John Higgins is going to take it.
Up first, it's the winner whistle, John Higgins! And his opponent is the ace of the pack. Let's hear it for John Higgins!
What a day of snooker we have had. 2 final frame deciders to decide our finalists. When Zhao Xintong comes to the table, he's either going to score a century or miss an easy black off the spot. There's nothing in between. It is final day at the Players' Championship. Zhao Xintong is taking on John Higgins. A lot of people in the comments are leaning towards John Higgins. I've got to say I'm going for Zhao Xintong. Look at this. Zhao Xintong, champion of the world, and now champion of Telford. All week there was a very clear dominant force. Zhao Xintong is the best player in snooker right now. But more on that in a second. For now, here's my one thing that mattered from the Players' Championship. I thoroughly enjoyed Channel 5's coverage. I haven't watched Channel 5 since I binged all of Columbo. Just one more thing, ma'am. They did an excellent job. They've assembled a top-notch team. Particular shout-outs to Stephen Hallworth and Matthew Stevens. Stephen and Stephen, I've just realised. In the commentary box, they had me entertained. They had me informed. I really thought they did a great job. And who did we see making his punditry debut? None other than John Higgins, one of our finalists. And I thought he was really good, but I might be a bit biased. Let's get back to the snooker for a bit. In the 90s, when I was just a little boy, I went to my local hairdressers and I showed them a photo of John Higgins and I said, please cut my hair like this. Not necessarily because I thought John Higgins had very cool hair, but just because I thought he was very cool. And I still think it. One of my biggest takeaways of the whole week was watching the walk-ons and John Higgins in particular. Most of the other players were focused, in the zone, kept themselves to themselves. Zhao Xintong interacted a little bit, but John Higgins was just like he was one of the people. He was just happy to be there. He's a nice man, plain and simple. At one point during the final of a big tournament, he came and sat next to me during the walk-ons and just went, went, all right, just like he was there to watch it. What a lovely man. And I'm glad to see John playing at an unbelievably high standard. Again, he played well all week, but I want to talk about the final just for a second. During that final, John Higgins changed his game. He was more attacking, he was more aggressive, he went for more long pots, he went for more tricky shots, and for the most part, he got them. You heard him say in his post-match interview that he felt like he needed to go for the long shots because if he didn't, Zhao would come to the table and punish him. And that only really started to fall apart in those last 3 frames. For the rest of the week, John's long potting was on point and he was much more aggressive during that final. So let's talk about those final 3 frames. Zhao Xintong stepped up when he needed to. He was exceptional during those last 3 frames. He seems to thrive under the pressure. He gets better under the pressure. I mean, let's look at when he was at 5-5 with Mark Allen and he pulls out that ridiculous long red. Absolutely. We were in the audience, we're sitting there going, there's no way he's going for that red. Not only did he go for it, he got it and goes on to win the frame. He did the same thing in those last 3 frames. He was phenomenal, really raised his game under the pressure. He stepped up when he needed to, but his demeanor didn't change at all. At one point, I was convinced that he was thinking about his weekly shop. Mustn't forget bin bags. The ease with which he clears the table, I've only ever seen that live once before, and that was by the greatest player to ever pick up a cue. Zhao Xintong has the scoring power, he has the temperament, and he has the conversion ability, and he's won back-to-back tournaments now, which leads us nicely to the power rankings. Goodness me, things can change in 3 weeks. Right, a quick reminder of the rules. This isn't about world rankings or career achievements. This is just a quick snapshot of who I think is playing the best snooker right now. And coming in at number 5 is one of the players that we've just been talking about. John Higgins is playing good snooker. He's made 3 finals this season, and it took a very special player to stop him in Telford. And the same goes for Shaun Murphy at number 4. He's also made 3 finals, but he's won one of them this season, and again he was stopped by the same very special player in Telford. Judd Trump drops down to number 3. What an ending to his semi-final with John Higgins, and do you know what? He is one missed pink away from being higher on this power rankings and, you know, making the final, but more importantly the power rankings. For the first time, Mark Selby drops to number 2 despite regaining his Championship League crown, which means Zhao Xintong is the frontrunner, and do you know what? He's never lost a final professionally. If that's wrong, I'm sure you lot will tell me. I don't think he has. But right now, 3 titles this season, back-to-back tournament wins, and he has the ability to close out those matches. He's got the stamina to do it. He's got the skill to do it. He is currently the best player in the world right now and deserves to be sitting at the top of the power rankings. And if he goes deep in Llandudno, that's no longer a conversation. It's just a fact. By the time you lot see this, the Welsh Open will be 2 days in, and you'll know a lot more than I do. But not more than future me. He knows things he shouldn't. One thing I will say, though, is I'm noticing a bit of a pattern on the tour. Often the players that go deep in one tournament are not the players that perform well in the next tournament, especially when there's travel involved. Let's look at Shaun Murphy and Judd Trump, who were both in the final in Berlin, and then really quickly had to travel to go over to Hong Kong to play their first round matches. Neither of them really showed up to that tournament. And then you've got Mark Selby and Telford also mentioning fatigue, so I'm wondering, are we playing too many tournaments? Or as fans, do we just enjoy the amount of snooker that we get to watch? What do you think? Let me know. But with that in mind, here are a couple of the first round matches that I'm most excited to see. Ali Carter versus Anthony McGill, I think should be a right old ding-dong in the snooker sense of the word, obviously. And Shaun Murphy and Chang Bing-Yu could produce some very high scoring. I'm predicting 8 centuries in those 7 possible frames. And when I wrote this, I said Mark Selby will be desperate to defend his Welsh Open crown, but I actually now, as I'm recording, I know that he's gone out. So how much is fatigue playing a part? Anyway, we'll catch up on the Welsh Open fully in the next episode. Since we last spoke, I've done a few top 5 videos, including nicknames, commentators, and top 5 players of all time. And I'm absolutely loving how engaged you guys have been with this, but who knew how passionately some of you felt about me not including Alex Higgins in the list? But which list didn't I include him in? Well, you'll have to watch him to find out. For now, here's some of my favourite comments that I've had over the last couple of weeks. On top 5 snooker players of all time, Mushti Kakison said, shocked Alain Robidoux isn't in there somewhere, while Sol said, absolute Selby should be ahead of Davis and Williams. Well, tell me what you really think. And on the nicknames video, Cosplay United said, Tony Drago the Tornado. He is also godparent to my children. Bias much? But my favourite comments were no doubt from my top 5 commentators video. Brian Totten said, Hendry can do no wrong in my eyes. Clearly you haven't been watching his cooking videos, Brian. Atanas Gauga felt very passionate with appalling list. Folds and Dale top 2. McManus probs the worst. To that I say, wait until you see my list of top 5 left-handers. And Dogs Walk Ireland said, you're miles off. Where's Virgo, Dennis Taylor, Neil Folds? Well, Dog Walks Ireland, you may criticise my list, but where's your list of the top 5 dog walks in Ireland, please? There are plenty more lists on the way, so make sure you subscribe so that you can tell me just how strongly you disagree with me on a molecular level. That's episode 5 of Pocket Watch, and like John Higgins' long putting, it was brilliant to start with and then got worse towards the end. I'll be back in a couple of weeks when we'll have a full review of the Welsh Open and we'll take a look at the power rankings. For now, please do make sure you tell me how much you disagree with me in the comments. See you in a couple of weeks.